Okay, campers, rise and shine, and don't forget your booties, because it's cold out there! It's cold out there every day. What is it, Miami Beach?
Hey folks, in case you don't know where that's from, that was a reference from Groundhog Day starring Bill Murray. Ever wonder what it would feel like to be stuck on Groundhog Day every day on an endless loop like Phil Connors in that movie? I mean, that's kind of what I feel like for a majority of 2020, right? But guess what? If you don't activate your imagination, if you don't start flexing your imagination muscle and let your creative juices flowing, you'll get stuck in your own matrix on a repeat program. You'll become Phil Connors in Groundhog Day without knowing it. You don't believe me? Stick around because today we'll be diving into why imagination is so critical in getting yourself outside your own loop. Let's cue the intro. Welcome to the Boom Vision Podcast. I am your host, Benjamin Ye. This show is about giving you the perspectives and framework on how to gain clarity and unlock your hidden breakthroughs. It's time for you to live an extraordinary life that you designed. Let's get to work. Hi folks, welcome back to Boom Vision. I'm so excited to share today's topic, imagination. As you recall, imagination is one of the three core pillars of building a powerful inner mindset. Those three core pillars are imagination, voice, and intuition. And so let me start by sharing something which you may or may not have heard before. Life isn't about finding yourself. Life is about creating yourself. Let me say that again. Life isn't about finding yourself. Life is about creating yourself. What does that mean? I mean, seriously, what the heck does that mean? Right? So before I confuse you, let me just share a story. Last year during the pandemic, our family adopted our first dog. I've never been a pet parent before. And so we adopted this dog, and her name is Honey. And one of the fun things that I see her doing quite often, she chases her tail. So she just runs round and round and round and chases her tail. And, right now her hair is a little bit longer because we haven't groomed her lately. But when she chases her tail, I mean, she could be going at it for minutes. And it's funny to see. She'll be doing it for a couple of minutes. And when she finally does catches her tail, it's like, okay, and then what? Right? And then she just kind of moves on and does her own thing. But if you think about that, let's deal with this in a conscious mind level, right? If you think about the phrase, life isn't about finding yourself. The thing is that if you're finding yourself, that's like finding a treasure, right? It's like finding a destination. The word finding for me indicates that something is missing or it's lost. Like you're searching for something, right? Do you feel in life you're constantly searching for something? To me, this word finding has sort of a world is half empty perspective and vibration to it. It's like you're coming from a place of lack. So what happens if you find your hidden treasure? What happens when you arrive at your destination? It's like, now what? So guess what? It's kind of like chasing your own tail, right? So instead, what would life be like for you if you used the language, life is creating yourself? That has a different energy to it, doesn't it? I mean, you start asking different questions with this train of thought. If life is about creating yourself, what do you want to create? How do you want to create it? To create, you have to be creative, right? If you recall my last episode, your conscious mind is your creative mind, but your subconscious programming or your operating system is what's currently running your voice. It's your subconscious operating system, SOS, right? That's what's controlling your conscious creative mind in a deeper rooted level. This kind of feels like an IQ question, doesn't it? I mean, instead of finding yourself, you need to create yourself. But if your creativity is in your conscious mind in level 1, and yet majority of your life is being operated by your SOS, subconscious operating system, that's in level 2, how in the world do you create from your level 1 top layer if you're running on autopilot from your SOS in level 2, bottom layer, right? Now, before you freak out on me, keep listening. Just take a deep breath. And believe me when I say it's like what Cobb says in the movie Inception. Downwards is the only way forwards. Let's go a level deeper. Let's go to the subconscious mind level now. What do I mean by downwards is the only way forwards? You have to go one level deeper to your subconscious where your programming, your SOS is running. The question you have to ask yourself is, are you running an SOS program that is on rerun or rewrite? Let me say that again. Are you running a SOS program that is on rerun or rewrite? Have you ever found yourself dreaming about your past more often? Or do you dream or daydream about your future more often? If you have a stronger affinity towards reruns, reliving your past, feeling like your best days have already been behind you, your autopilot is on rerun. I mean, if you think about it, that's really no different than chasing your own tail, right? It's essentially being the same thing as Phil Connors in Groundhog Day. You're reliving a day over and over. Now, is that serving you well to be running in a rerun subconscious programming? Because that might explain why you might have a stronger affinity towards the language of finding yourself rather than creating yourself. If you find yourself reliving your past, you'll most likely be asking, why is this happening to you? Rather than asking you, why is this happening for you? Let me use another analogy here. Another movie love dearly is The Matrix. So imagine Morpheus is sitting right across from you in that old mahogany chair with both hands extended and asking you, do you take the blue pill or do you take the red pill? If you forgot the movie The Matrix, or if you've never seen it, please do. In The Matrix, the blue pill would allow Neo to remain in the Matrix as if nothing has happened. The red pill would allow Neo to stay in Wonderland, and it would allow Morpheus to show him how deep the rabbit hole goes, and it's realizing the truth. The question is, ask yourself, has your subconscious mind been taking the blue or the red pill? Has your current SOS, subconscious operating system, has your current SOS been making you take the blue pill, where ignorance is bliss, like Cypher, where you've been constantly watching reruns, when you've been constantly chasing your own tail? Or has your SOS been making you take the red pill, where you choose to be Neo, and where there is no spoon? So the question of the century is, what is my life purpose? Or is it? Is it really the question, what is my life purpose? Or perhaps the question you can ask instead is how? How do I create my life purpose? Now that we've unpacked quite a bit, right, from the conscious to the subconscious level, I want us to stay in this space, okay? Because the subconscious, that's really where the magic happens, okay? That's really where we can plant a new seed, just like Inception, okay? So bear with me here. Let me ask you, are you a person where seeing is believing, or are you a person where believing is seeing? Okay, let me ask that again. Are you a person where seeing is believing, or are you a person where believing is seeing? I want to share a story here. I'll be honest, before I met my wife, I was the kind of person where seeing is believing. I was completely logic-based. I rarely showed emotions, and I never gave myself the space to openly cry. Okay? You want to know how bad it is? In my wedding, my cousin, who was my best man, he said in his speech that whenever he had a tough time making a decision, he would ask himself, what would Ben think? Because he would give the perfect cost-benefit analysis, right? It was that bad, okay? And it wasn't until I met my wife that we both started our spiritual journey together. And I began to start understanding the meaning behind believing is seeing. Now, before, when I heard someone say, life doesn't happen to you, it happens for you, guess what? That older version of Phil Connors in me was saying, honestly, what the are you talking about? Seriously, what are you talking about? Now, I do want to make a distinction here, okay? Some folks might be hearing that believing is seeing deals more about faith. My intention here isn't to discuss about religion. However, this quote does deal with an aspect of faith. Specifically, it's faith in yourself. You have to believe that you can create. You have to have faith in yourself. That's what I mean by believing is seeing. Okay, but in order to create, you have to open up your imagination. The magic key is imagination. How can you switch your SOS to believing is seeing? You have to have faith in yourself and you have to open up your imagination. Think about it. If your voice in your inner voice says the words, life is about creating yourself, well, you're creating a new version of yourself, right? Chances are you're creating a new version of yourself that you've never experienced before. How do you create an upgraded version of yourself if you've never been there before? If you never experienced it, you never felt it, you never seen it? Let me give you a visual example. If I ask you to draw a circle, you'll draw a circle because you know what that is. If I ask you to draw a sphere, you'll most likely draw a circle with some shade to create some shadows and three-dimensional feel to it because you've seen that before. But if I ask you to draw a widget, well, what's that? Then I'll say to you, I don't know. What do you think? What would you draw? You probably have no prior reference to what a widget is in your childhood, in your education, or in your experience. So what image would come up in your mind? What would you draw? If you believe you are not creative, you'll have a tough time imagining what a widget is, right? And what that will translate is that you'll also most likely struggle to imagine how to create yourself. Now, be kind to yourself. You're probably never intentionally or consciously exercising your imagination weight because your inner voice has been repeating, I'm not creative. This is why the key is imagination, but also that changing your language where believing is seeing, which in this context, you need to have faith in yourself, because that will upgrade your SOS, which will then open up a gateway to allow yourself to imagine. Do you follow me so far? Stay with me here. Okay, let me share another perspective to drive home this point. Okay, pun intended. I think I mentioned this in the first episode where have you ever driven with your eyes closed? Right? That just sounds ludicrous. But think about it. Now, the one caveat I'll say is I'm not talking about Tesla where it's auto driving. Okay? So I'm talking about old-fashioned driving where you're actually using your instincts. If you're driving with your eyes closed and it's not on autopilot, you can't see where you're going. If you can't see where you're going, you won't go anywhere. If you can't see or imagine a new version of yourself, a version you have never experienced before, how can you create a new version of you? You have to give yourself permission to imagine new things. That's why imagination is so critical in your journey to reinvent yourself. Your current SOS is using an old GPS navigation system that you observed and downloaded in the first 7 years of your life. The roads have changed. The world landscape has evolved in the past few decades. If you enter an address into your old GPS system that doesn't even have it in its programming, guess what? You're going to be chasing your own tail because you haven't upgraded your system yet. So how do you do that? It's 2 steps. The first step is that you need to reprogram your SOS with the belief that believing is seeing. What this will do is replace your inner voice that has been playing that old record on repeat, I am not creative, and instead play a new record where you're saying, I am creative. The second step is activating your imagination, meaning you consciously make the intent and effort to exercise your imagination muscle. So for this week's framework and action steps, I want you to utilize the CAL method I mentioned on the last episode. C, calming. Find a method that calms your mind, either through meditation or a simple breathing exercise for just several minutes. A technique that I use on a daily basis is that when I shower at night, I allow myself for 1 minute to just stand still under the hot shower. And I imagine with my eyes closed, the stress, any emotional baggage I might be carrying on my back throughout the day, either consciously or subconsciously. I just take a deep breath and let out a long sigh. And just let the hot water just wash away my stress and my emotional baggage. I mean, this can really be a powerful tool if you give yourself the permission to be present in that moment. The key to this technique is to visualize your stress, your emotional baggage that you're carrying that day. It's covering your body like mud, and you're just letting the hot water just wash it away. As you inhale, as you exhale, you let the hot water do its job and just wash it away. A, awareness. Pay attention to the inner voice that's talking to you and the language you use throughout the day. Is your SOS running on a rerun or rewrite program? Do you currently have a belief system where seeing is believing or believing is seeing? Really pay attention and see if you can have that awareness. Then L, language. I want you to declare out loud after you're in a calming state. I am creative. I believe in myself. I give myself permission to imagine new possibilities. And you can make these declarations either after the visualization technique in the shower, either after your meditation, or after your breathing exercise. Just be in a moment, and when you say it, feel it. And then afterwards, grab a notepad and just start drawing. Whatever words come to mind, write it down. Whatever pictures or images that you see, draw it. Don't hesitate. Don't stop yourself. Just draw and write whatever comes into mind. It could just be for a minute. It could be 5 minutes. Whatever you feel right. The key is giving yourself the mental space and room to let your imagination come to you, because you've never given yourself that space before. So if you can do this for the next 3 days, just see what comes up, see what comes to you. You'll be pleasantly surprised if you give yourself the space and permission. Have faith in yourself. Give yourself the permission that believing is seeing, and really feel it. I know you can do this. I have faith in you. It's time for you to have faith in yourself. It's time to upgrade your old SOS programming. And I am excited to see how your imagination expands. So please share, comment what unfolds for you as you strengthen your imagination muscle. I'd love to hear what inner and outer breakthroughs you're having as you go through this week's action steps. You got this. So as a recap, life isn't about finding yourself. Life is about creating yourself. On a conscious level, what is your inner voice saying to yourself? Are you finding or are you creating? On a subconscious SOS level, are you running a rerun or rewrite program? And last but not least, the seed you are planting and nurturing within, is it seeing is believing or believing is seeing? And so I just want to share 2 quotes with you. Where your thoughts go, energy flows. Where your energy flows, manifestation grows. So how do you want your manifestation to grow? Can you visualize it? And the second quote is, embrace who you are and embody who you want to become. We actually say this a lot in our family. We love this quote. Embrace who you are and embody who you want to become. You got this. Embrace who you are. Everything happens for a reason. All of your experiences up until this day happen for you. So embrace who you are and embody who you want to become. You have to see it. You have to visualize it. You have to imagine it. You have to create it. Have faith in yourself. Until next time, folks, be kind to yourself, be in the light, be you. Thank you so much for tuning in to my Boom Vision podcast. If you'd like to find out more about me and this podcast, head over to benjaminyeh.com. That's spelled BenjaminYeh.com. If you haven't already, click subscribe, and I'll catch you next time.